Hello and welcome to the That's Football. You know what I nearly did there. How you're doing? It's England versus Slovenia. Watchalong. Very interested to do this actually because I've not been England's biggest fan for the last few years, but I was a massive England fan. Probably from 20 years of my life. Absolutely loved England, but for the last decade I've sort of turned off. But tonight's the night we can qualify for the World Cup, and I've probably not watched England play. Not a lot, and so there is that side to it, and That's Football is about general football chat for everybody to get involved with. So it would be remiss of us not to do a bit of international football, especially in World Cup year. England can qualify for the World Cup tonight. So let's have a look at the England team. Remember to drop a like on the video, share the video, and if you are new to That's Football, get subscribing in the bottom right hand corner. So the team is Joe Hart. Why does Joe Hart play in goal for England? He's nowhere near the best English goalkeeper. I mean, this is what I'm going to get into this more during the game, but this is what annoys me about England. In my lifetime, we've missed so many opportunities because of picking the popular players, and Joe Hart is a perfect example of that. He's not the best goalkeeper in England, but he plays because he's got the Head and Shoulders contract or something like that. Carl Walker at right back, no problems. John Stones and Cahill, yeah, not really problems with that. Bertrand at left back, quite happy with that. Now, this is where it starts to go wrong for me. Henderson, I mean, I don't think he's even good enough for Liverpool, let alone the national side. Dyer, no problem with him. Oxlade-Chamberlain, really? Sterling, he's doing okay for Man City. Rashford and Kane. I presume Dele Alli has picked up a knock then, because I didn't hear about that. On the bench for England, and this shows England's problems, I think. For people who don't think the Premier League has destroyed the English football game like people predicted it would 20 years ago, it really has. Because you look at the squad depth, I mean, it already leaks into the first team. I mean, Henderson. Smalling is on the bench. Butland, who should be in goal, not Hart. Trippier, Maguire, Keane, Cresswell, Defoe, Livermore, Sturridge, Winks, Lingard, Pickford. I tell you what, I've never seen such a weak England team, but apparently the English team's better than it's ever been. But, Harry Kane's a good player. Dele Alli's obviously a good player, but he can't play. As is Rashford. So, let's have a look. Let's have a look how it goes. We're not too far away from the kickoff at the moment. I'm just mixing between screens here, so I know where I am. Let's have a look at what you've all got to say at the moment. So, Henderson is the worst one. Terrible player, says George Kyle. Ali suspended for the hand gesture, says Dan Butterworth. Yes, he is. Thanks for everybody who's saying that. Oxlade-Chamberlain, what a liberty, says Tube Tubes. And he did swear as well, so it's a little bit more than that. Agent Paul says, can I have a shout out? I'm brand new here. Welcome to the show, Agent Paul. We're about to kick off. I will sort the timer out at some point, but it's 0-0 at the moment. It's sort of crept up on me a little bit how quick this game has sort of started. But Raheem Sterling's about to kick it off. And we will talk during the game. What I really want to talk about as well is my journey with England over the years, because I'm not too sure many people will know about. Everyone's got a different relationship with England. I'm old enough to remember Italia '90. For people who think I look as if I'm in my 20s, I'm not. And I can remember Italia '90 quite vividly. I can remember Euro '96, '98, 2002 when we bottled it against Brazil. So I'll be talking a bit about that during the game as well, because I think that's very important that people understand why a lot of people around my age and older have lost interest in England. I mean, basically, the FA are an organisation that just want to make money. The England brand is fantastic. I mean, they have their own sticker books and everything, and England make a hell of a lot of money without being successful. But the management of England over the years has been bloody dreadful, to be totally honest. The managers, I mean, even this manager shouldn't be England's manager. But what I want to do say, on a real positive here about England, because I'd love to support England. I mean, I do support England, that sounds wrong. I'd love to get behind England again. And that's part of why I've done the stream tonight, really, because I want to sort of, it is World Cup year. Rashford's on a good run here, but he's lost it. It is World Cup year. And I do want to get behind England. But on a positive note, we are doing very, very well from under 19 right the way through to about under 14. We're doing really, really well. There's a lot of young players coming through, very talented young players. But the problem we face is that it's a free kick for England at the moment. The problem we face is, will these young players get given the opportunities in the first teams? And I think there's a mentality change that's needed. Rashford with the cross, Slovenia have cleared it. I really do believe that there is a mentality change that needs to happen, and that mentality change basically revolves around the fact that I'm going to have to go somewhere to get something. I'm just going to go into the United Stand studio and get something. You should still be able to hear me. The reality change revolves around the agents of these players, really, who, you know, they want them to go to the big clubs and they want to earn the big money, but they go and sign for someone like City on 50 grand a week, but then they don't play again. What these young players need to do is go and play for teams like Bournemouth in the Premier League, get yourself playing week in, week out, then go to somebody like Liverpool or Spurs or United and go for 20 million and have a season playing for a Premier League club behind you, so that they'll actually buy you and play you. That's what needs to happen. It's a worry. It is a worry. Let me see if this will work. Yes, it will. So, stop that there. Let's get the timer up. We are 3 minutes and let's say 10 seconds in. Magic! That's magic! So we're 3 minutes and 12 seconds in as things stand there. That's one part done. Yeah, but these England players that are coming through, I think England are going to suffer for the next few years. But because there's a real dearth of talent coming through for England. That's the problem that they face. There's a real dearth of talent coming through. I mean, I've never seen an English midfield so weak that it has to play Jordan Henderson in it. I think you can get by with Eric Dyer and Dele Alli, but you need somebody else in there, and there really isn't anybody. I mean, you tell me. Vixter123 says England had their best players, but now is totally bad except for one or two players. We've got zero chance of winning the World Cup, by the way. If we get out of the group, I'll be quite happy, and I'll get behind England. I'm just hoping that maybe one or two young players will come through this season and you know, be a late entry into the squad, because we're one or two players short, definitely in the midfield. But you've got people like, is it Jadon Sancho, who's gone to Borussia Dortmund? He's about 16, 17. Really good player. Angel Gomez at United. There's a few at Chelsea. There are some good players coming through, but they've got to get first-team football. They're at the wrong clubs. That's the problem. They're at the wrong clubs. They need to go and get first-team football and play regularly for others. But football's such a big money game now that they get these agents, and these agents get them big moves. And the only places they can go that can afford the big money are the big clubs, but they never get in. Chamberlain's in down here. Should have cut it back, but he doesn't quite. But it's a corner for England. And it's just forgotten something else I need to do. Getting a bit of the United Stand tonight anyway, aren't you? It's not 4-0 to England yet. I'm just getting you the score up as well. So, corner to England. And another thing about England as well is they do traditionally tend to do quite well at this time of year. September time, specifically, because they're fresh. So I think they could win by quite a few tonight. They're very much on top against this side at the moment. So it's 0-0. Got the timer up and running as well. Remember to drop a like. Remember to subscribe if you're new. We'd like to get up to 18,000 subscribers tonight. And share the link. Chandler Family says, I'm a Kane Spurs fan. Look, that's football. Is for everybody. It's for everybody to get involved in. It doesn't matter what club you support. Just get on. Sushas says, thoughts on the distribution rights of the Premier League. Let's talk about that at half time because it's a good topic. It's another corner for England here. Slovenia very much on the rack, and as we know, England can are black in goal for Slovenia. Atletico Madrid keeper, very, very good keeper as well. I've forgotten about that. Done no research on Slovenia at all for my sins. Asian Gamer says, anybody else support India? If I'm honest, no. I don't dislike them, I just don't support them. And England are going to have a lot of possession in this game. Yeah, but the way England need to solve their future is there's some fantastic young players coming through, but they've got to go to clubs where they're going to play. And does a youth player, because when I was growing up, I just wanted to play football. There wasn't loads of money in football like there is now, so I just wanted to play football. I was passionate about that. Does a young player now, who's probably been on the books of a big club since the age of about 11, do they have that passion to go and build a career, or do they have a passion to build their wallet? That's the problem. Are they more bothered about what boots they wear, what magazine they appear in, or do they want to play football? Because like I said, if I was a 19-year-old lad, part of the England setup, England under 19s, I'd be looking at my agent and saying, get me at Bournemouth, get me at Newcastle, get me at Swansea, get me somewhere where I'm going to go and play every week. It's no good for me to be at Chelsea or Manchester City or Manchester United because I'm not going to play. I might get the odd half an hour in a League Cup game at the start of the season and they won't see me again. I need to play week in, week out. And then I'll get a move to Chelsea or Man City because I'll be proven in the Premier League with somebody like Bournemouth. That's the problem with the English game at the moment. We've got a lot of players coming through, but they need to play first team football. Otherwise, winning the under-19s World Cup or whatever it's we've won is a waste of time. Those players, like the Germans do when they win them trophies, they go and find somewhere to get first team football. So that desperately needs to happen for England. In the immediate future, I look at this team, I look at the wider Premier League, I look at the bench tonight, and I think England have got massive problems in the midfield. And the midfield is generally where games are won and lost. And England's midfield is just not good enough. It's got Jordan Henderson in it, and he's, I don't think he's even good enough for Liverpool, which says a hell of a lot. So that's the big problem that England face, unfortunately. And how they solve that problem, I don't know, because I don't really... I mean, I personally have always been quite a big fan of Ross Barkley, but maybe a move to Chelsea or Spurs at around Christmas time might sort of solve that problem. But then you hit the problem that has also bothered me over the last sort of few years as an England fan. And Sven-Göran Eriksson was the worst of the lot. I mean, people like to say that Kevin Keegan was a disaster as England manager, which he was, but at least he was passionate. The problem with our man Eriksson is he just had no passion. He had no spine. He was a complete bottler. And I'll never forget the quarter-final in 2002 against Brazil in Japan. We went 1-0 up. Brazil got back into it with a very good goal. And then we had the situation where Ronaldinho scored that free kick against Seaman. Then Ronaldinho got sent off in the second half. And England had half an hour to get at 10 men Brazil, who weren't renowned for defending, and we couldn't do absolutely anything. That was if we'd have won that game, which we should have done in the situation, then we would have gone on and won that World Cup because Brazil went on and won it. And I look at that team, and we had Gary Neville in it, we had Sol Campbell and Rio Ferdinand as centre backs, Seaman in goal. I forget who the left back was at that time, but there was Sinclair on the left to give a bit of balance. You had Nicky Butt. I think we definitely had Scholes and Beckham, Heskey and Owen. So it was a decent tide, and we blew it. But then to add insult to injury, in the next 2004 Euros and 2006 World Cup, that team got even stronger. It had Terry and Ferdinand, Gary Neville, Ashley Cole at left back. David James was a bit of a weak spot. Midfield, you had Gerrard, Lampard, Beckham, Scholes. Up front, Rooney and Owen. And again, bottled it because Eriksson just didn't have the passion. Those were big opportunities. Euro 96, just unlucky. Southgate, funnily enough, missing the penalty. England and penalties. Same in 90. 98, I think we were well equipped, but in international knockout football you can get knocked out. Beckham got sent off. We got knocked out on penalties. So something going off here with stupid Henderson getting involved in something. Slovenia are obviously up for a bit of a scrap. George Kyle says Slovenia are putting the pressure on. Claude Debussy, Ross Barkley could have played for... There was a late tackle on Henderson, to be fair. I'm sure Liverpool fans won't be that bothered. He's not a big loss, is he? England should have won something in the early 2000s, I agree. Ox or Jay Bizzle. And Jay Reynolds says you should try watching him every week. I think you're talking about Jordan Henderson. We are a general football channel, so I'm not going to show any bias. I'll talk about every player. I mean, I do think if we've got any Liverpool fans watching, that Oxlade-Chamberlain is he's got the potential to be good, but I think his record this season is diabolical. He just fell over, pretty much on his own there. But good intersection by Dyer. Henderson bottles it in a 50-50. He really bottled it in a 50-50 there, Henderson. Mark Bolton says we would have won Euro 2004 if we'd got past Portugal. I don't think we would have done, because Rooney broke his metatarsal, didn't he? And I think without Rooney, I mean, he was on fire in that tournament. He was absolutely amazing. But 12 minutes in, and England, their usual self. I mean, why people think this England side could get anywhere near winning? And I thought it was a penalty as well, George Kyle. There was a slipped ball through to the Slovenian attacker, and Joe Lahart got there really late, but the ref sort of left it. Chad Sproul says, Mark, do you really believe Southgate can motivate teams while the captain hasn't won anything? Gary Cahill has won more than half of the England team put together. I think Southgate's a terrible manager, to be honest. I thought he was bang average at Middlesbrough. He's managed the under-21s, and that gets you the England job. There was a time in my life when the England job was the pinnacle. People like Brian Clough couldn't get the England job despite winning 2 European Cups and being a fantastic legend of a manager. Getting the England job was a real hard thing to do. Now they'll give it to any old clown. We've had Allardyce, that was just embarrassing. I mean, Allardyce gets results, but he's a long ball player. I mean, international football, playing long ball. And then Southgate's done absolutely nothing. It's a sad indication of the English game, really. And that's the thing, you can have the players. I think like I said, that team that had Rooney, Owen, Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Beckham, Ferdinand, Terry, Neville, Ashley Cole. I mean, what an 11 that was. And but if you've got the wrong man in charge, you're always going to struggle. You've got to have the complete package. But England's a weird one. The fans never leave England because obviously, pride of the nation and all that. Harry Kane's just hit a long shot from there. But they deserve a kick up the backside because the way the FA run is disgraceful, really. And it's been like that for years. Daryl Johnson says, why do England qualify for the World Cup finals but always get knocked out straight away? Because they're not good enough. They're just not good enough. That's the problem. I mean, look, I don't know. What do you think is achievable for England in this World Cup? Because they'll go to the World Cup, but they've got zero chance of winning it. And people always throw out, you never know in tournament football. We're bottlers at penalties, so that's basically going to knock us out straight away. Slovenia on the attack here. England have started really badly. Rubbish shot, straight at Joe Hart. We're bottlers. If it goes to penalties, we're definitely going out. And a lot of games in tournament football do go to penalties. We haven't got good enough players. Our players are not patriotic. Unless they're getting paid loads of money. The vast majority of them aren't proud to wear an England shirt, and I'd argue that with anybody. It's a tick in the box compared to some of the England players I grew up with. But ultimately, they're just not good enough. They're not good enough. And you compare the England squad to France. I mean, France don't pick Anthony Martial. I mean, he'd be our star player. So, it's we're just not good enough. Is ultimately the bottom line. As Snap says, shockingly not good enough. Kofi says we'll get knocked out straight away. Sean Dyche for the England job, says Keith's Films. At least he's done it in the Premier League. I'd say Sean Dyche, Eddie Howe's a decent shout. I mean, they're not winning Premier Leagues, but name me an England manager that's likely to get a job where they can win the Premier League. Because again, Premier League's just gone very foreign focused. Managers, players, we pay premium money for foreign players, and I actually think there are potentially some really good English managers and English players that they just don't get a chance because the Premier League's become so cosmopolitan. But Southgate didn't need to be given the job. The reason Southgate was given the job was the same reason that Roy Hodgson was given the job. They're yes men who will just do what the FA tell them to do. The FA don't want big personalities. I mean, Sam Allardyce, awful manager. in his style of football, but big personality. Didn't take long for them to get rid of him, did it? Score prediction for today. I think England will win it 2-0. And like I say, I've not watched England for a long time. I'm getting back into that groove, but this reminds me of England over the last sort of 6 years in the tournament football that I watched. Good switch of the play from Kane and Rashford. Kane to Rashford there. Rashford's got his man on toast. Past one. No, he's gone wide a bit. But, I mean, there are bright spots in the England team. Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, Dele Alli. If these can stay fit, but if they get injured, you know, England are in all sorts of trouble. My score prediction is 2-0. I think England will play badly, but typically get a couple of goals. So we're 17 minutes in, and Mladen says Goldbridge is the real man for the job. You know, I've done a bit of coaching and I've obviously played a lot of football. I would like to manage a team, but lovely little ball through to Bertrand there. I mean, there are aspects of the England team that do make me feel positive. I like the fullbacks. I like Rashford and Kane and obviously Dele Alli. I think in international football, you're never going to have 11 world-class players. So people like Eric Dyer, you know, all right, there's better than him, but, you know, he can certainly do a job there. And but my big concerns are the midfield. When you're playing Jordan Henderson, I mean, there's two massive problems there. I mean, I don't particularly think Cahill and Stones are a strong centre-back pairing, but, you know, we've been blessed with that over the years. But the big problems are your goalkeeper. Joe Hart should not be in goal for England. You know, really should not be in goal for England. And Jordan Henderson shouldn't even be in the squad. Peter Doyle, I agree with you. Big personality is exactly why the great Cloughie never got the job. Sterling runs funny, so does Henderson. Mark, did you see that caller on That's Football say you would do better than Wenger? And Sandra replied, don't get his ego any higher. No, I did. I only watched a bit of it last night. I'll sack Sander for that, though. Shaka Phillips says, Southgate's a poor choice for England manager. Doesn't deserve the job. Won games against poor teams. England lack a team morale or ethic. Eddie Howe, Gary Monk or Ancelotti would be good for England. And somebody just said England, Bolt Cow says England are not going to score against Oblak. Lingard don't deserve it either, says Jay Bomber. Yeah, but I mean, you know what? As a United fan, Slovenia should have scored there. Good crossing, unmarked. Just talking about that with with Cahill and Stones. Just not good enough. Not good enough. I mean, again, I think England pick their team on reputation. So you've got Cahill and Stones, they play for the big clubs. You've got Joe Hart, who, you know, he's been playing for England for a while. Personally, Butland should be in goal. And people like Michael Keane, you know, why are they not in it? Because they need a bit of toughness. Nice little ball there from Bertrand. I think it was actually Sterling into Rashford. Looking for a pass. I mean, to be fair, Sterling gets a lot of stick, and you know, I don't disagree with that as a personality. He maybe is a bit of a plonker, but as a footballer at Manchester City, he does seem to have improved a lot. Andrew Horn says Rashford's going to break the deadlock. Lingard's better than the Ox, says Timo. And it was a rubbish shot there from Sterling. Best chance of the game, probably falling to Slovenia there, actually. Cross, strikers in between Cahill and Stones, and, you know, really was a bottled chance. We would call that a really bad miss if it was one of our players doing it. Henderson running into a blind alley, that's it. Give it to Rashford because you're rubbish. Rashford's just been chopped down. You know, Rashford, though, does look... The thing I would say is Rashford, watching England, is he's streets ahead. Right, it's a free kick for England anyway. Well, this is where Rashford and Kane think they can take free kicks. This will be a joke because they both just blast them over. Germany are beating Northern Ireland 2-0. Always going to be a difficult tie for Ireland. I've not looked at that. And Cathal says, Mark, do you think Ireland will qualify? We are going to do an Ireland versus Wales watch-along on Monday night, actually. So join us for that. Harry Kane with the free kick straight into the wall. And Frank McAvenny, imagine it with the real one, says Scotland are turning the screw against Slovakia. I mean, it's a good point, actually. You know, we're sat here talking about England and what they're going to do. But when you look at it, the way the groups are at the moment, France, Sweden and the Netherlands got an interesting group there. But that's not the one I want to look at. Switzerland and Portugal, obviously they're going to top their groups. Germany and Northern Ireland, well, Northern Ireland are going to come second in that group, so well done to them. Does that mean they qualify? I'm not too sure, don't know how it works. The interesting group is Wales, Ireland. Serbia are obviously looking favourites to go through there, so Wales and Ireland will probably play for a qualifying position. And England and Slovakia or Slovenia, they're looking to go through. So Slovenia need a result tonight, that's for sure. Scotland need a result against Slovakia. Interesting. Why is Lukaku in the Belgium squad? They've well and truly qualified. Why has he got? Why Martinez has got players there with him? I don't know. Isn't Ashley Young English? Would be good captain if so. Andrew Horn, you're probably right. Ashley Young should walk into this team. He hasn't retired from international football, so it's the idiocy of Southgate though. Because to be totally honest with you, I was stunned when Rooney decided to retire from international football because he's only 31, and you know this England team is crying out for someone like Rooney's experience. I'm not saying he has to play every game, but he'd certainly be an asset. I'm very surprised at Rooney for doing that. I bet he wished he was part of the England setup anyway, because it was the last international break. He got himself done for drink driving, wasn't it? Nathan Brown says, do you think Bertrand is top 6 quality? Well, a Liverpool top 6, because that's where he'll end up being a Southampton player. Rashford running down the left at the moment. Little cut back. Final ball from England, pretty poor so far. Wales and Ireland is worthy of a watch along. Sour grapes will be available, but not for England fans, says Crackmaster General. Yeah, we'd highlighted Ireland, Wales as a good game to do a watch along for, because from a neutral's point of view, because I'm neither Welsh or Irish, although I did live in Ireland for 3 years, so my heart probably is a little bit more with Ireland than it is Wales, but I think it would be a very good game, and yeah, look forward to watching that one without a doubt. We've got a goal in the Malta game according to the formals line. It's 1-0 against Lithuania. England are playing Lithuania on Sunday afternoon actually. We were going to do a watch along for that, but I think if they win tonight there's no point. Snaps, the banter is starting to heat up in the live comments. Yeah, I love it. That's what That's Football is all about. Rival fans having a little bit of banter, no problems with that. We did the Skype show last night, so you can start Skyping in and having some real banter. That'll be fun. Yeah, get involved with That's Football. We've only been running it for about a month, so make sure you've subscribed. Henderson's just kicked thin air. There's got to be a gif of that. There's got to be a gif coming out of that. He's just tried to shoot and hit thin air. Although he did nearly score there, went for the bottom corner and Oblak puts it out for a corner. Hendo, you're useless, says Chad Sproul. Slovakia have had a red card, says Andrew Horn, so could be massive for Scotland, that. Absolutely massive. I don't know what Scotland's last game is, but if they can beat Slovakia and England beat Slovenia, it puts Scotland into second place. No bail for the Welsh, says Peter Doyle, evens it up. That could be a massive game, England-Wales, on Monday night. I think I'll do the watch-along for that and pull rank, because I'll pull rank on Sander and I'll do it. England are not getting past Oblak, says Kofi. And Cathal says, I've got a joke. Liverpool, there are some Liverpool fans on here tonight. And Mladin says, I'd love Mark to do a watch-along for Italy versus Macedonia. Surya says you look bored. Look, I used to love England, as we were saying at the start. I haven't watched England, I watch England in the major tournaments. I'll watch it in the summer, but I haven't watched England qualifiers or friendlies for a few years now. So, you know, but I think a lot of this comes down to who's managing England. I mean, there are players out there who are better than this. But Gareth Southgate's got no idea how to set up a side. No idea at all. And you can see that in the tactics. It's just basic. I mean, what did Southgate do? He managed Middlesbrough for a bit and they were bang average. Oblak is one of the best keepers in the world, so I don't think England will score, says Active Dan, Active Dan. What time does Brazil play, says Gino Cornelius. I don't know, but I ain't doing a watch-along for that. It'll be probably quite late. Fellaini for England, says goals recreated. Well, he'd do better than Henderson. I mean, the reality is you've got two Liverpool players in this team, and I think that's too many, because Liverpool's best players aren't even English. So Rashford's probably been man of the match for England so far. As I said, he's a long way ahead of anybody else in an England shirt. Harry Kane's not had a lot of service, to be honest. But Rashford playing on the left again. I mean, that's Martial's position, isn't it? Crack Master General says, I know this is way too early, but who will miss the penalty that puts England out of Russia 2018? I'd say Sterling. Got to get out of the group to go out on penalties, mate. I mean, that's the first step. Just reading the banter between the Liverpool fan and the United fan. Ox hasn't started for Liverpool, but he starts for England, says Chad Sproul. Well, again, another indication of England's problem. It's strength in depth, isn't it? David says Rashford's been good, but poor end product. I'd agree with you on that, David. And they ain't no Beckham, Lampard and Gerrard, says DTFT. No, you know, this is probably the worst set of England players I've seen in my life, to be honest. Although Graham Taylor pushed it close. God, Carlton Palmer, Dennis Wise, Andy Sinton, Jeff Thomas, some of the crap he selected for England was a joke. Here we go. Harry Kane's got 4 players around him and absolutely no support and loses the ball. Driving in my car, oh, I never ever want to go home, 'cause it isn't my home anymore. Oh, there is a light and it never goes out. There is a light and it never goes out. There is a light, it never goes out. You can't beat a bit of the Smiths. Dele Alli is not injured, Gungshi. He is suspended for the bird he gave to Kyle Walker in the last game. Good old FIFA. Ansi Pant says Kane would get better service in a brothel. He is on his own. Lynn Hall says, just tuned in, no team along the bottom of the vid mark. Yeah, I forgot to do that. But the team for you, Lynn, especially for you. Especially for you. God, you've got to be old to remember that. Kylie and Jason. The team, Lynn Hall, especially for you, is Joe Hart in goal, Kyle Walker, John Stones, Gary Cahill, Ryan Bertrand making up the back 4. You've then got Jordan Henderson and Eric Dyer, Sterling, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Rashford on the left and Kane up front. So it's like a 4-2-3-1. Very similar to what United play. But But England haven't started off that well. Kane's very isolated up front, and Rashford's probably had the most attacking threat so far. Oh, there is a light and it never goes out. Oh. God, 5 times is out. There must be a Liverpool fan on there. But it's not. Why is the viewing of the game so restricted from South Africa? I can't see the live game, says Andrew Horn. I don't know. FA probably making a load of money, to be honest. I'll get myself another drink in a minute. Keith's Film says Liverpool equals the History Channel. Sometimes I have to laugh. Ox Bizzle 1984 says if Jack Wilshere wasn't made of tissue paper, he could be in the England midfield. He'd certainly be better than Henderson. Loftus Cheek is better than Winks. Who is the best Premier League player that is English, says Alex here. It's got to be between Dele Alli, Harry Kane and Marcus Rashford. And for me, at the moment, it's Dele Alli. I'm one of them people who doesn't just get blinded by goals. I think Dele Alli is a fantastic player. But it would be between those three, surely. Here's Slovenia into the box. So Dyer, I tell you what, good job Eric Dyer's playing, because it has been a bit dire. So let's talk about England of the past. Italia 90 was fantastic. I used to buy an England shirt every couple of years for the major tournaments. I was a massive England fan, and everyone says, why are you so negative about England when you're English? But I'm negative about England for the same reason I get a bit negative about football in general, because the way it's become so monetised has had such a terrible effect on our national game. And I'm very patriotic. I love my country, and I used to love England. I used to love, like when I was growing up, and I was a young kid in the 80s, I used to beg my parents to let me stay up on a Wednesday night for sports night on the BBC when they'd show all the international games. And I remember my dad bringing me back a programme from Wembley when he went down to watch England play Brazil in a friendly. I think it was like 88 or something like that. I loved England and I loved international football. But they've destroyed it. They've destroyed it with the players being motivated by money, but bad management by the FA and bad managers appointed and bad infrastructure has really set us back. But I applaud all these England fans. I don't know what the attendance will be there tonight, but there are still a lot of people who really love England, especially from the lower clubs. You know, like lower league clubs. They love England because it's their big time moment, because, you know, if they don't support a Premier League club and you're following someone like Rotherham or Notts County or Carlisle or something like that, following England's quite a big thing, because that's your moment in the spotlight. So England have got fantastic support, but I don't see England improving in the next 4 or 5 years. I mean, we've got good players coming through, like I said, under 19s all right the way down. But they need to get a good manager in there. And the problem is Southgate's young. I mean, how Southgate's only going to get sacked when we do something terrible. And considering Carl Walker's rubbish free kick there, considering Hodgson stayed in a job after the disaster that was it the World Cup in 2014 in Brazil. You know, we can go and have a bad World Cup again and they'll keep Southgate. Southgate could be here for us a long, long time. Danny Green says, I used to love watching England growing up. This is just crap. I don't think this new stadium helps. Very businessman-like posh boys in suits. Why is our right back taking free kicks? He's not Roberto Carlos. I can't swear, Chad. But let us know. I mean, what do England mean to you? I'd like to read some of your comments out about that. Because to me, a former lover of England, I've fell out of love with them. Not the country, because that's my country, but the football team, I fell out of love with it. And basically, it's because it's a bit like when you love something, but you get treated terribly by your partner and neglected and mugged off for years. And you just suddenly think, you know what, I don't need this anymore. I'm better than this. And I think that's what's happened with England for me. Because like I say, the FA, they treat the fans like mugs. I mean, as you know, I'm very big on fan opinion. I think it's the most important opinion. You get the most sense from football fans because they're passionate and they're knowledgeable. You know, they're not being paid massive amounts of money and given scripts like these pundits are. And the FA's motivation is money. They want the money out of your pocket. And over the years, they've degraded England. They've made us a laughingstock. But people still buy the shirts. They still go to the games. And while that happens, the FA just sees the England national team as a business. If we manage to do well in a tournament, great. But actually, it's business England FA. That's what it's all about. And it needs a shake-up. But England's a sort of metaphor for the wider footballing world and the Premier League, because it's all about getting money out of your pocket and it's not really about what the fans think or want. Gungshi says, you don't need the abuse, Mark. Come and support Wales. Look, you know what? I wouldn't say I'm jealous because I don't want to be anything other than I am. But I do look at the Welsh team and the Irish team, and they might not have the talent that England has generally, but they definitely have the passion. And the trouble is, it's nothing to do with being a little country like Wales or Ireland in comparison to England, because other big nations get what international football is all about. You know, look at Brazil, one of the most successful, if not the most successful club national side in the world. Germany are the same. You know, these are big countries with absolutely fantastic players, and they take international football very, very seriously. The way they bring players through, the managers they put in charge, you know, and it matters to those players. They are desperate to get part of that national setup. It's the pinnacle for them. Whereas for England players, I think, no, I don't know. I don't know whether that's unfair on England players, to be honest. They're probably just not good enough. But the talent pool is a disgrace, absolute disgrace. I mean, I was saying last night on the United stand, somebody had the balls, or it was a man actually, to say that the quality of football now in the England setup is far better than it's ever been. And I said, you know, they might be fitter and quicker and technically trained better, but they're not better players. Because if you stick a Gascoigne in today's football with the same facilities, training and everything like that, you'd be calling him Messi. He was that good. And the big problem is through my life, I remember like when we had centre-backs like Ferdinand and Terry, but you had a few other centre-backs that, you know, like people like Jamie Carragher that would walk into this sort of England team, but wouldn't get close to that sort of team. The mid-90s, like I say, I mean, Robbie Fowler, Andy Cole, Ian Wright, Stan Collymore, Les Ferdinand, they weren't getting in the England setup. We had Shearer and Sheringham. The amount of strikers that we had, and people like Chris Armstrong were playing for Palace at that time, and he was scoring a lot of goals. He wasn't even, he wasn't even in the top 7 to get an England shirt. In the modern day, you'd have Chris Armstrong up front. That's what the dearth of options is out there. It's shocking, and this all comes back to the FA. They've destroyed English football with their greed and taking the paycheck from the Premier League and not looking after the English game. It's sad. So I do long answer to what should have been a short answer there in relation to Wales and Ireland and even Scotland. I like the and Northern Ireland as well. I like the passion and because the English fans are passionate. I'm not saying that, but the players are far more up for it than our players are, and I don't understand why. It's another corner for England, and Marcus of Rashford is taking it. And it was Eric Dyer with a lovely flick off. No, it's Cahill with a flick off the front post, and it looked the way he got the angle as if it was going to go in. But I don't know, it's gone for another corner, so I don't know what happened here. Oh no, it wasn't Cahill, it was the defender. It would have been a very good goal, but it would have been an own goal. If you're new to That's Football, remember to click the subscribe button at the bottom. We're going to try and get to 18,000 subscribers tonight. It is an international night, so it'd be great to do it. Harry Kane's just scored, but there's been a foul. Oblak didn't even bother to dive for it. So, yeah, subscribe icon in the bottom right-hand corner. What's That's Football all about? It's a generic fan channel for everybody to get involved, no matter who you support. We do a lot of watch-alongs. We're going to do Wales versus Ireland on Monday night. When the Premier League's back, we normally do a couple a week. We do the Champions League games as well. loads and loads getting on, and this is what a watch along is really. A game will be going on and we'll all be having a little chat and all that through it. Normally chatting about the game a little bit more than we have done tonight, but it's not been that fantastic so far. Jay Hudson says the players are paid too much now. I think that's across the board. I think that it really is across the board. Will the United stand be on afterwards, says Sims. No, I'm not planning on doing one tonight. I don't think there's any real Manchester United news to add. I put a video up this afternoon about United's starting 11 in 5 years' time, which I really enjoyed doing. Created a bit of a debate, and you know that's in the end. Oh God, Henderson's just skinned himself. There is a light. I've got that in my head today because I was listening to it at work. Shaka Phillips makes a good point. Rashford, Kane and Ali are our best England players, but Pickford and Butland should be starting over Hart. Butland definitely should. I don't know why Joe Hart starts for England other than he's popular. He's an absolute clown. We stand United, just said it. England only picks popular players. What England need to do, and the FA will never do it because Southgate's a yes man and they'll love having Southgate in charge because they can manipulate him and do what they want to do because that's the FA, archaic and out of touch and controlling. What England need to do is spend a load of money on a decent manager, and they'll say, oh no, we can't do that again, we're going to stay English, we've tried spending a lot of money on foreign managers and it failed. No, the FA failed on that. Let's have it clear. The FA failed on the foreign manager thing because they picked the wrong people. Capello was never the correct person to be an England manager. Park the bus, passed it manager. And Ericsson, well, Ericsson wasn't too bad apart from the fact that he was a spineless bottler who let the players run the dressing room. So Ericsson and Capello were just bad picks by the FA. There are managers out there that would take the England job who are foreign and would be very, very good. I mean, I'd even take the Watford manager. I think he's a really good manager. It's going to be a yellow card here for Stones. Well deserved, very late into the tackle. But yeah, there's some fantastic foreign managers out there that would be great for England. And that's what England needs. Somebody who's proven themselves in Premier League football preferably, who knows the English game and, you know, they've got something about them. Their teams have got something about them. Or they've been consistently good. Southgate's none of those things. None of those things. Simsible says the football is bland, the players are mostly bland, and the stadium is bland. 3, hat-trick. Very good points. Well done, pal. Should anyone be substituted, says LMNO820002? That is the big $1 billion question, mate, because who do you substitute? Because England's subs bench is poor. It's really poor. I mean, you've got people like Livermore on there. I mean, I don't even know who Livermore plays for anymore. Is it Hull? I don't know. Here we go. Rashford's running at his last man. He's past him. It's a foul. He bought the foul. He'll probably get a yellow card against the Slovenian. It's going to be half time. What I'm going to do at half time is go and get myself a drink, and then we can talk at half time about what that question was about the TV money for the Premier League, because I think that's a really good topic that we can talk about. Rashford's the only lively one tonight. Jed Rowland says, are you playing FIFA tonight? I'll probably do FIFA tomorrow night, mate, because I've had a really long week at work, and I want to get an early night tonight. In fact, what I'm thinking of doing tonight is I'll finish this up and I'm going to just have a bit of time with the wife, Watched some classic royal family. Not the real royal family, by the way. There was a comedy with the late, great Caroline Aherne who wrote it. I love sitcoms, and I'm going to watch I think I'm on season 2. I've watched it so many times, but I'm going to watch it again. JD says, they're all trash, no need to bring anyone on. And DTFT makes a very good point. He says, Gareth Southgate actually missed a really important penalty for England. And yeah, he's our manager now. One of the biggest bottlers in English football history is now managing us. Great. Great. Give me 20 seconds. I'm just going to get me rum, and then I'll top up, and then we'll have the chat about the English Premier League TV incentivisation. You'll probably still be able to hear me, actually, because I'm only actually walking into another room. Coming back now. I don't actually want to leave the bottle with me, because that would be... I'll probably drink the whole bottle if I'm not careful. So I'm just going to pour myself a bottle. Pour myself some. That'll do, lad. A little bit too much, but I'm not driving. So, let's talk about the pedestrianisation of Norwich city centre. I've got to tell you, I'm dead against it. No, let's talk about the upcoming TV deal for the Premier League, because there is some potential issues coming up. Realistically, there is not necessarily support for the current deal, which shares the money out, the TV deal out fairly amongst the clubs. In somebody like in Spain, people like Real Madrid and Barcelona take a vast amount of that pie because they're the biggest draw there. But in England, it's always been done fairly amongst the clubs. But there is hints that some of the bigger clubs like Manchester United and, well, the top 4, 5, 6 clubs really want a bigger piece of that pie and want to sort of negotiate their own deals. I mean, this is the problem with football. It's all about the money. And if you're Manchester United, let's say, and you are sharing that money with Bournemouth, who nobody really wants to watch, then, you know, the reality is you've got every right to say, well, if there's a well, it's way more than 100 million, but if 100 million pounds is going to be paid for the TV deal, why should it be £5 million each for 20 clubs? We want 50 million because most people watch Manchester United, and that is potentially what's going to happen. Where do I sit on it? I personally think, for the good of the English game in the Premier League, that although I am a Manchester United fan, I think that for the good of the game, it's better off shared, because otherwise it will become very uncompetitive if it's not already. But, you know, Manchester United would make, you know, masses of money, ridiculous amounts of money, and the smaller clubs just would not be able to compete with it, and the quality would suffer because of that. We've got the best Premier League in the world because it's competitive, but the other side of the coin is I can see why clubs want to do it, because they want to make more money, and that's the bottom line, isn't it? That is the bottom line. As for anything else, it's a disappointing half, to say the least, from this England side. There is a line and it never goes. I can't stop singing the Smiths. Anyway, let's take some of your comments. Mark, if Ancelotti was England manager, what would he bring to the team? Says Shaka Phillips. Look, Ancelotti, would he take the England job? But that somebody of that quality would be nice. I mean, Southgate is just, you know, I can look at that England team, you can look at that England team, and we can both say, you know, that there are massive problems with that England team, and it needs addressing. But even if it was addressed, the manager's rubbish. The manager is absolutely rubbish, and it starts and ends with the manager as far as I'm concerned. Theon Curtin says, Mark, surely you have better things to be doing than watching an England game. No, you know what, Theon? For the last 2 years, I've never watched England play in friendlies or international qualifiers. I watched them in the tournaments, but not in the qualifiers. But a lot of people said, will you do an England watch-along in the international break? And I've done it. And to be honest, we're having a good little chat, which I never mind. I mean, it's just like doing a sort of Q&A, really, isn't it? The football's sort of the backdrop. It's rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. But we've done it now. Elemano wants Harry Winks to play. Mr. Zaki Boy says, will you ever have a Liverpool fan host a show at one time? Look, we're looking for people to get involved with That's Football. It doesn't matter who you support. We do want people to get involved. So there's every chance that could happen. MUFC Cody says, Rashford's the only spark in that first half. Well, I'd agree with that. I'm not a massive fan of rum, unless it's got a bit of coke in it. But I started on it, so I will finish. Hazard FC says Butland should start. These players underperform, says Ryan C. And we are doing the Ireland game on Monday, Peter Doyle. Really looking forward to that. If you stood Southgate on his head, you could use him as an umbrella stand, says Carl Watkins. Hi Mark, says Ewan MacGyver. Hi Mark, hi Ewan. And Beck Howell says, favourite ever watch along? Would have to be the Europa League final. How's the career mode coming along for FIFA, says Alec Dukas. Don't worry, I've not gone ahead of you. The last one we did, I won 2 in a row, didn't I? And I won on world class. So I'm looking forward to doing another stream. I'll definitely do one over the weekend. It'll either be Friday or Saturday, but I'll let you know. In fact, if I say tomorrow night at 11 o'clock, we'll do FIFA 18 career mode at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. So That's Football tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. We'll go live and we'll do FIFA 18 tomorrow, because I know it's important to not just do it sporadically. So I'll let you know the times we're going to do it from now on. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 nights a week, and it probably will be at about 11 o'clock. Cian McQuarl, I hope I've pronounced that right, makes a very good point. He says, this is why we should not let great talents like Wilfried Zaha switch countries. And Andre H says, this is the worst England team I've ever seen. Salim has just subscribed. Welcome to the channel, pal. I was hoping to get us up to 18,000 tonight, but people aren't interested in international football, are they? So, well, actually, I mean, 400 people watching is great, but you know, people obviously aren't that interested in England. So we're just all going to have a good old chat together, which is great. But if you've not subscribed to the channel yet, hologram in the bottom right-hand corner. Make sure you click and subscribe, and click the old bell so that you get notifications when we go live, which is very important if you want to watch the FIFA 18 streams. Make sure you have subscribed and you have clicked the bell and you've ticked get all notifications, because when I do the FIFA 18 live streams, I can't schedule it, so it just goes live. So if you've not subscribed and clicked the bell, you're not going to get the notification unless you're just hanging around at 11 o'clock on YouTube. Jaden says, Ancelotti for the England job. Look, I'd take Ancelotti for England. I'd take Ryan Giggs for England over Gareth Southgate. But the sad thing is, Southgate's here for at least... I'd say Southgate's here till at least the next Euros. Yeah. The Formals Lime has just told us some of the games tonight. Bolivia versus Brazil, Venezuela versus Uruguay, Colombia versus Paraguay, Chile versus Ecuador, and Argentina versus Peru. And I think Argentina were in a little bit of trouble, because Michael Foley's just said, do you think Argentina will qualify? I'd be very, very surprised if they didn't. But no Aguero for them. Callum Foy just subbed. I'll tell you what I would say, though, is I am looking... You know, England are going to be in the World Cup, and I'm English, so I will want England to do well, even though they've got no chance. But I am looking forward to that World Cup next year. A few people have said to me, who do you think is going to win it? And I like the World Cup, and I'll watch a lot of games, and hopefully we'll be doing a lot of watch-alongs for it. We might do one for every single game, we'll see. But I think at this early stage, the 3, potentially 4 front runners are France and Brazil, just because of the squad they've got in depth. I'd probably put Brazil as my favourites at the moment. I think France have got brilliant players, but an idiot as manager. Deschamps is a clown. Germany obviously are always going to be contenders. and Spain potentially as well. Belgium should be contenders, but you know, Martinez was a mediocre Everton manager. Is he going to be able to manage World Cup winners? I really think not. James Smith says Southgate is a poor manager. And Gungshi says Pep will always be bold. Yes. Well, no, you know, Conte was, and then he wasn't. Man Got Joke says Brazil are going to win the World Cup. And the World Cup is brilliant, says Fionka. I can't wait for the World Cup. I love the World Cup. It's a massive disappointment that England aren't good enough. But I'm looking forward to it. Gran Turismo. The real driving Gran Turismo is out on the 18th of October. Some cracking games coming out at the moment. You know, I'm thinking about starting a gaming channel, especially for Call of Duty. I think we'll have some right laughs on that if I get a squad together. We Stand United says Argentina are not in the top 5 at the moment. And if Peru get a point, it's curtains for Argentina. And, you know, part of me thinks that's really sad. Really sad, because Argentina are a part of World Cup history, and it's a bit like the Netherlands. I think they're in trouble as well, aren't they? I'm going to have a look at that tomorrow. I haven't really got time while we're live to have a look into it, but Crizia Prince says the Spain team is quality. Call of Duty World War II, says Alec Dukas, yes. Aladami says imagine the World Cup without Messi. Who do I think is going to win this game, says Wellington. I like your little avatar. I think England will come out and win it. But they've been very, very poor. Rick Tapio says France are definitely favourites. I disagree. I think the squad is amazing, but their manager's rubbish. Deschamps is rubbish. Look at what happened to them in the Euros. Rubbish. As the hosts, absolutely rubbish. He's a rubbish manager. I think France is suffering from the same thing as England, actually, that they've just got a rubbish manager. I think Brazil are favourites, to be honest. Phil Mitchell, stop asking me why Ryan Giggs doesn't have any eyebrows. He probably hasn't plucked. Germany and Spain have the best youth talent, but they need to develop, says Drago List. I'll tell you what, in all honesty, a mate of mine, his lad plays for one of the youth teams in the Midlands, and he knows a coach who's well into his 50s, and he's involved with like the region and Coventry City. And he said that the England setup from 19 and down is the best he's seen in his life. And he's been coaching for well over 40 years. So the England's youth coming through is very, very good. But as was talking about at the start of the first half, the problem is, are these youth players led by their wallet and their agents who are going to get them moves to big clubs and then they'll never be seen again? What these young lads need to be doing is getting themselves to Bournemouth or a championship club, playing week in, week out, and being so good that they go to big clubs because they're being signed, because they're very good first team players from these Bournemouths or whatever, not being the youth setups of the big clubs because they're not seeing the light of day. And that's how England will improve. But Spain and Germany are always going to produce young talent. Brazil will as well, France as well. But England from 19 down have got a fantastic set of young players. It's just how they get first team football in the Premier League. And maybe they need to go to, like Jadon Sancho has gone to Dortmund. Maybe that's what they need to do. Abdul Abdi says, I'll join your Call of Duty World War II squad. I'm good, by the way. I am definitely thinking of doing that, by the way. Edward Shaw says, let's chat England. Well, we're trying. We are trying. Second half should be kicking off as well. Did Messi have to win the World Cup to be the best player to ever live, Mark, says JD. I think Messi needed to do better at international football, and I think Messi needed to leave Barcelona. But I still think he'll go down as one of the best players in history. But the one thing Ronaldo can do is say, I won a major tournament in international football. I did it in the Premier League and I did it in La Liga. So a few people are saying, do England need to make subs? Yeah, probably about 8. But unfortunately, we can't make 8, and we haven't got 8 good enough players on the bench either. Marcus will play Call of Duty, Jason Brutt. Don't worry about that. Italy aren't actually that good, Kerry Ugable. I wouldn't put them as favourites at all. Second half is about to kick off. When's the next Skype show, says Brevy Boy. I don't know. It was a really good show last night with Xander, so we're pretty much in the hands of him for that, because he's going to do that at the moment, because I'm obviously very involved with the United stand still. I will do a Skype show on here though, because I love the Skype shows, and I'd love to speak to fans from all over. And as I said, it doesn't matter what club you support, that's football is all about every fan having their say. And the Skype show last night was great, because we had fans of other clubs calling in, and it starts to get real and banterish, and you know, bordering on falling out, which is great. We're waiting for the second half to kick off. Remember to click and subscribe if you are new to That's Football. Loads and loads of stuff planned over the season. We'll have more and more content as we build out. Tomorrow night at 11 o'clock I will be doing my FIFA 18 stream, so you need to be subscribed and click the bell so you get the notification for that, because it just does go live. We're off. Second half's off. Timer's just started underneath the scoreline over there, so we're 5 seconds in. Alvaro Morata, I think England are exactly like the Netherlands. We have some good players, but we play bad. I don't know what's going on with the Netherlands at all. Maybe they just don't have the players anymore. Chad Sproul says Messi's better than Maradona. I saw them both in my life. He's not. Maradona was just unbelievable. And Maradona won a World Cup on his own. I think that's where, Chad, you know, it's all about opinion. If you think Messi's better, that's fine. But I think you can kill that argument very easily. Maradona won a World Cup on his own, single-handedly. And if Messi was that good, he would have done it as well. Kane wandering around like a slow donkey, says George Kyle. You know, I think Harry Kane's a good player, but I think people get carried away with Harry Kane. I don't think he's the finished article by any means. I think with good players around him, he'll score a lot of goals. In an England team, he'll struggle. I don't know what the story is with Holland. A few people are mentioning them, like Mr. Vlasak. They weren't at the Euros either, were they? So, I mean, that's unbelievable. Again, talking about international football in my lifetime, Holland not being in major tournaments for 2 in a row is shocking. Absolutely shocking. But I think Holland have got problems with, you know, they've always had really, you know, 2 or 3 world-class players in their team, and at the moment I just don't think they do. I don't know why, because they're always going to develop good players. Ajax have got a great youth setup, but I don't know why. Oh, Chad, I totally agree with you. Maradona's the biggest cheat in the world. But he was a very good footballer, and he cheated twice, didn't he? Because in '94 with the drugs. MD Khalid, Maradona didn't have opponents like Germany and Spain. Mate, look, you can't disrespect '86 because you look back on it and you don't know who those players were. International football was very good in '86. Funnily enough, Belgium were a bloody fantastic side. Was it Alkmaar up front and obviously Laudrup? You know, there were some fantastic footballers then. The difference is, we live in a world now that's, well, you know, you can know anything about anything in the football world, whether it's through the internet or, you know, you can watch Brazilian football if you want to, league football. When you know, in '86 and in the '80s, you couldn't even really watch much English football, let alone international football. You didn't really know much about what was going on in the Serie A or anything like that. So that's why there was a bit of an ignorance about how good teams were. But there was, you know, the '86 World Cup wasn't rubbish because nobody knew anybody who played for any of the teams. We didn't know who the players were because football wasn't like then what it is now, where it's wall to wall. There were some very good teams in that World Cup, and Maradona won it on his own. By the way, 86 World Cup. I wasn't like 10 or anything like that. I was very, very young in the 86 World Cup. Chad says, I think an outside bet for Belgium to win the World Cup is worth it. Hazard, De Bruyne, Lukaku, Nainggolan, Carrasco, company. Look, you'd be wasting a tenner, Chad. You're spot on. Belgium have got a brilliant set of players, but they ain't got the manager. Roberto Martinez. No chance. And you forgot Fellaini, says George Kyle. Mr. Fresh, you're right. I've got Belgium mixed up with Denmark. Denmark were a very good team in 86. Same thing. Sorry if you're Danish or Belgian, but same thing in the context of, you know, not very fashionable club, but country, sorry. You can tell how long it's been since I've watched international football. I call them clubs. Oxlade-Chamberlain is utterly useless, says Mo Wada. That's what Liverpool fans think as well. Michael Foley's right. Holland have one of the oldest teams in Europe and no young good players coming up. Neb D, Germany will win as usual. Would never bet against Germany. You'd probably get good odds on Germany because when it comes to tournament time, they're always very good. And they're a team. That's the thing. Lockrell says, is the United stand on after this? No. Yellow card for Slovenia here. They've been quite dirty, the Slovenians, if I'm honest. No, I'm not doing a United stand stream tonight. I might do a walk to work tomorrow morning, but I won't be doing a stream tonight because there's nothing really to report. In international football at the moment, Northern Ireland are still losing 2-0 to Germany. In fact, it's probably more than that. What's going on? Don't do that. There is a light and it never goes out. Right, let's have a look at the World Cup qualifiers. Czech Republic beat Azerbaijan 2-1. Norway beating San Marino 5-0. Surprise, surprise. England 0-0. Scotland need to beat Slovakia. They're down to 10 men, Slovakia. Malta are beating Lithuania. England are playing Lithuania on Sunday. So that'd be a cracking game, won't it, when Malta can beat them. Mark, why are you always bouncing off your chair when you're typing on your keyboard? She was only 16 years old, says Gungshi. Yeah, that's a good idea to get the Smiths out of my head. I've listened to it about 3 times at work today, that's the thing. I was doing some work with my headphones in, just listening to my favourite songs. Oh, tell you what, Slide Away. I hadn't listened to it for ages, and I'm a massive Oasis fan. Well, I was in the mid-90s, and I hadn't listened to Slide Away in years. What a tune. What a tune. Took me back. It took me back. Which is quite sad, actually. It's sad to think back to those times and think how long ago it was. But life goes on. Slovenia are hard to watch. They're almost part of this pitch. They're so green. Farn 141. It is poor watching England. You're right. Richard Stainer's made a contribution. Thanks for that. He says, why do England play with 2 holding midfielders against poor teams who offer no threat? Because that's welcome to the world of Gareth Southgate. So I just realised that's football colours are pretty similar to that of Slovenia. So should we start supporting Slovenia, everybody? Football Interview says Slovenia is a tough side, and all you watching. Yeah, well, I can take that. I can take that as a valid comment, and thanks for that comment. but England have showing absolutely no intent at home. For the same reasons Richard just said there. We're playing with 2 centre defensive midfielders and a back 4 at home. Welcome to the world of Gareth Southgate. He'll bore you to death. That guy says Fellaini would actually be a starter for England. He'd be one of our star players. Disease Gaming says, no offence, Mark, but I can't stand watching England. But I'm not taking offence, mate. I've said twice tonight. I used to love England. Absolutely love them. And I will watch the major tournaments, the Euros and the World Cup. But this is the first time I've watched an England qualifier or friendly in about 2 years. And the only reason I'm doing it is, one, because it's World Cup year and we should sort of stop building up to it and taking a look. And 2, because everyone said, can you do a watch-along? International watch-along. So I thought, well, England's an obvious one to do. I tell you what, I can't wait for Wales and Ireland on Monday, because at least that's going to matter and they're both going to go for it. I can't wait for that, because this is turd. Apart from having a drink with you lot and having a good old chat, it's rubbish. Chrisia Prince says, I'm not watching the match, just enjoying the content with the community. Join the club, mate. Rog V. Reinhardt says, Denmark would wipe the floor with this English side. Christian Eriksen would send them all back to kindergarten. I don't know, mate. I'll put my hands up and say I'm very ignorant to how good Denmark are, but you've got a few good players, that's for sure. And you probably would give England a good run out, to be honest. Blishard Crushing says, Mark, did you know a caller loved Sander yesterday? Doesn't surprise me. He's got the looks, I've got the brains. Let's make lots of money. Pet Shop Boys. Klopp is spending the whole of the international break brushing his teeth. Wilf says, oh, Liverpool are getting a bit tonight. Leading Way says, I can't do a super chat. Why? It just might not be available in your country, pal. The super chats, we'll always read those out for you. It's a way of contributing to the channel. It's the $sign at the bottom of the live comments. But if you do ever contribute, make sure you leave a comment, because we do want to read it out for you and say thank you. Ryan C, can't even ring a few passes together here. No, it's shocking. When will we be doing career mode again on FIFA? Tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. Gary Wells, good point. He says, get a central defender as your manager, and this is what you get. Obsession, overkill on defending. I do think England will win it, and then everyone will be just like, oh, well, we've won it. We're in the World Cup. Mike D says England are a very poor side in comparison to other teams. Yeah, I agree. Alex Dukas says, how long do you think it will take for Arsenal to win a Premier League title? Totally honest, because that's football and I'm not doing it from a Manchester United angle. My total honest football head, how long will it take Arsenal to win the title? Realistically, I don't see it happening anytime soon. I'm not going to be stupid and say it will never happen, because change of mentality by the owners, change of manager, and the right players brought in, it could happen. It could happen in the next 3 or 4 years, but it isn't going to happen with Wenger. I'm 100% convinced that Wenger will not win another title with Arsenal. No way. It's too ingrained in him that he's a bottler, especially in the north. You know, I always say it every single season. If you have one bet that your life's going to depend on it and you're going to put all your money on it, I'll tell you what it is every single season. Arsenal will lose at Liverpool. Guaranteed. They cannot go up north and get results consistently enough to win a title. And that's down to Wenger. I think Spurs are more likely to win a title than they are. An interesting question is how close are Liverpool to winning a title? And yet again, I mean, Kyle Walker's been dreadful tonight. Just strayed a pass away there. I think Liverpool are further than Arsenal actually, because they haven't really got the infrastructure, and also it's been so long since they have won it that I just think there's a mental block. I mean, Liverpool almost need to have a couple of years of challenging for the title before they win it, or they need a freak of nature season like Leicester had a couple of years ago, where all the big teams were just off their game for a season. And you've also, I think Liverpool would need to be out of Europe and just playing one game a week, which at the moment they're not. So I don't think Liverpool or Arsenal are anywhere near it. I would say it's going to be Chelsea, City and United's title for the next few years. Pochettino would be a good England manager, says Phil Mitchell. Yeah. Declan Buckley says Alan Shearer for manager. Well, I really liked what Alan Shearer had to say when we got knocked out of one of the tournaments recently. I think it was the last one, the Euros. I really liked it, and he sort of offered to get involved with England. But Shearer's probably like Roy Keane. You think they're going to be great managers, but they're not. Oh, cross came in, it dropped Harry Kane, went off his knee for a goal kick. DTFT says, would I take the England job? Well, I would. I wouldn't last in it for very long, that's sure. The press would hate it. George Kyle says, Kane yet again, completely atrocious. You do wonder what the fuss is, though. But I think I think Harry Kane needs good players around him. I don't think he's an individual talent. Rashford is the only person playing well, says Ben17. Yeah, I agree. I think Rashford doesn't need good players around him. He will make things happen. Rogvi says, where's Phil Jones? He's gone back to Manchester with an injury. Davina Knights wants a shout out, which you've just got. Gungshi says, Goldbridge England manager and Mad Marcus assistant manager. Now that would be fun. That would be fun. It'd be funnier than Taylor and McMenemy from the 90s. Gaz Newton says Sean Dyche is my pick for next England manager. I'd like Sean Dyche actually. I like his personality. I think Burnley, he knows. The thing about Dyche that'd be really good is he knows how to get results with limited resources. And I think at England at the moment that's the problem. Why was Southgate given the job? Why? Here we go. You've got to put Rashford into your left. Or you're right. Here we go. England will score. Oh, Rashford. Silly. Went for a chip and there was a player back. Should have scored there. Poor finish by Rashford. But I've always said that about Rashford. He needs to work on his final ball, whether it's crossing or finishing. But they're on the break there. Mourinho for England manager. He would never be so stupid as to take the England job. He should have scored, says Ryan C. It was a good break. Sterling led the break. He had Rashford on one side of him. I think it was Kyle Walker on the other. To be honest, Walker was probably the better pass, but he went for Rashford, who tried to chip the on-rushing goalkeeper. But there was defenders there, so it was never going to work as a chip. Massive areas of Wembley empty as well. You don't see that until you see the replay there. Zed Jamie says Anthony Adams was a fantastic captain and leader, but he was dreadful at Granada in La Liga. Yep. Rashford keeps trying to do the chip over the keeper, says Lynn and Elamano. Yeah, Rashford needs to work on his finishing. Kane off, Lingard on, says Andrew Horn. They'll never take Kane off. And Brevy boy, Kane can't play without the big stars like Ali and Ericsson. Yeah, you know, some strikers, that's not really a criticism of Harry Kane. All I'm saying is that this fanfare around Harry Kane being world class is nonsense, because world class players can do it. You know, they can create things on their own. Harry Kane can't do it. Edward Shaw's made a contribution. He says, do Marrow and Fellaini. Do Marrow and Fellaini. Do Marrow and Fellaini. He made a contribution. I'll sing it for him. Wasn't Lukaku meant to be training Rashford on his finishing, says Phil Mitchell. Yeah, he probably should need to. Crackmaster General says England should give the fans a refund because this is laughable. Yeah, you've got more chance of being knighted than them doing that. This should be a goal. Sterling. Oh, good defending by Cesar. He made the first interception, then Sterling running onto it from the edge of the box, passing it into the bottom corner. Really good stretch. But England are sort of stepping up a bit here. We've got an offside on a corner. But, yeah. Cross comes in here. I think it's Bertrand who puts the cross in. Good stretch by Cesar, and then he gets up again and blocks it. Good defending. Well done, lad. Well done. Unlucky from Sterling. Yeah, good defending. If you found That's Football tonight because you're watching the watch along and you're enjoying it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's Football. It's here for everybody. We do loads of watch alongs. We've got, in fact, coming up, we've got Ireland versus Wales on Monday night. We've got, I think we've got Barcelona versus Atletico, or it's Athletic Bilbao the weekend after. We'll have a Premier League game as well. Basically, we do lots of watch-alongs. We've got other shows as well. We've got the FIFA 18 career mode, which will be interspersed in there. We do topical shows. We do call-ins. We do Premier League previews. We are going to start doing some more sort of foreign football as well, especially around Real Madrid, because Xander lives out in Madrid, so he wants to do a few match day vlogs. So loads and loads of content, loads of chat. Doesn't matter who you support. Get involved and spread the word about That's Football. And subscribe. And get your bell on and get your notifications on, because we want your opinions. That's what it's all about. Neil OB9 says, Mark, Ireland to win or Wales. Kane's just blasted it over for 3 points, but unfortunately we're not playing rugby. I'm watching it, Neil. I'm watching Ireland versus Wales on Monday night as a neutral, because I think it's going to be a really great game for the neutral. But if you're asking me push to shove, I would go with Ireland, because I lived in Ireland for 3 years. Fellaini's the best player in the league, says Edward Shaw. Thanks for the contribution. Harry Kane has been shocking tonight. George Carl's loving your super chats, by the way, because he loves Fellaini. He's in the Fellaini gang. Ryan McSquiggan says, I like the calling in. Yeah, the Skype shows are really good. I think they'll be very good on this channel, because it's, you know, you can talk about anything you want to, and there will be rivalries because people support different teams. So somebody could phone in and say that Harry Kane's a big game bottler and he only does it against little teams. Has Lingard come on for... Who's Lingard come on for then? Oxlade-Chamberlain? Yeah. And there's Rashford down the left. He's got a crossover here to Walker. He's got to find the cross. Let it go, Sterling. Ah. Here we go. Harry Kane. Oh, just wide. Not talking enough to each other there. Kevin Collins, who do I think will win the World Cup? I've said already, I think Brazil are my favourites at the moment, but Germany, France, Spain, it'll be one of them four, I guarantee you. Cesar again says football interviews. Very, very good. Who does he play for? Cesar of Slovenia. He's very, very good. I like him. Boštjan Cesar. He's 6'3" and he's 35, so no one's going to want to buy him. And he plays for Kievo, and he's been at Kievo since 2010. It's a shame. It's a shame you're 35, mate, and you've only spent your career playing for... Well, you played for Marseille, West Brom on loan in 2007, but he's been at Kievo for 7 years. He's been fantastic tonight. Edward Shaw, do. Well, England is sort of going up a gear in the last 20 minutes. What Ireland player do you like to watch the most, says Michael Foley? I like Robbie Brady. I'll tell you what, I haven't watched Ireland in a long time. I'm looking forward to watching Ireland and Wales on Monday because I've got no reason to watch Ireland or Scotland or Wales. I would keep an eye on their results, but I don't have time. Not massively into international football. I watch the major tournament, but I don't really keep an eye on international football. I'm more likely to spend my time watching a bit of German football or French football than I am international football. Matthew McFadden's made a contribution. For those who are unable to watch the game just now, make sure to tune into a review of England's performance on Comedy Central tonight. That'll be on at 10 o'clock. Well done, Matthew. I got the joke. Joe West Brom Cuba says, I think England are going to nick this 1-0. I think that England have certainly seem to have gone... That's rubbish from Sterling, not getting that under control there. England has certainly gone up a little bit of a gear in the last 10 minutes. Michael Carrick could get in this England. Don't start me on Carrick, Ben17. He says Carrick could walk into this team. He certainly would. Carrick was just totally wasted for England. They really wasted him. Mike Rollins says Sterling never plays well for England. George Kyle says, where are the game-changing subs? Have you seen the bench for England? It's shocking, mate. There is no such thing as a game-changing sub for England. Jay Cuda says, are you watching Ronaldo and Portugal on Saturday? Who are Portugal playing, mate? I wasn't planning on it, but I plan my day from day to day, so unless it's... I'll tell you what, the Slovenian centre-backs have been very good. Very good. Alex Dukas, yes, I've not mentioned that tonight, but it's a very good point. He said playing Lampard and Gerrard together was a joke. Playing Lampard and Gerrard together was actually 100% indicative of what the problem was with England over the years, is that people get picked on personality and not on... Something going on here. John Stones. John Stones won't have done anything malicious. England picking players on reputation and name and not on ability. I mean, if I was a manager of any club, and I've always said this about England for years, Gerrard or Lampard should have been on the bench. Pick one of them, don't pick the other, put them on the bench, and if the Gerrard player... I mean, Gerrard was particularly rubbish for England, and Gerrard or Lampard just used to get picked every single game. Should have benched one of them and then played someone like a Nicky Butt or a Michael Carrick, somebody who can actually run the midfield and give Gerrard or Lampard the freedom to be a midfielder. But playing them both together, no wonder our midfield got overrun, because then neither of them are defensively disciplined. It was idiotic. Absolutely idiotic. It's like Galactico football. It doesn't work. You've got to build a team. You don't just pick the best players. You've got to have balance, and England didn't. Gerrard and Lampard together. And it went on for about a decade. It was an absolute joke. Edward Shaw says Lampard and Scholes all day. I'm not convinced, Ed. I don't think Scholes and Lampard would have worked either. I mean, for a number of years, they did it in... To be honest, the best we did was in World Cup 2002, where we had Nicky Butt. Nicky Butt played. He was one of the players of the tournament, and the team had balance. It was a really good team. We should have won that World Cup. We just bottled it against Brazil because of Ericsson. But we had the player to run the midfield. Just because you've got three really good centre midfielders, attacking midfielders, doesn't mean you play them together. You've got to have the player who's going to just do the dirty work. And I always say this, and I've said it for years on the United stand. Never ever put your opinion down as a fan and think, oh, I'm only a fan. These managers get paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a month. Don't ever let that happen. You know, I've watched football for 3 decades, and the vast majority of managers have got no more knowledge about football than any of you lot. They've just done their coaching badges. They don't have the common sense they were born with. I mean, Ericsson was on millions as England manager, and he was playing Gerrard and Lampard together in a midfield too, and wondering why we weren't winning tournaments, because he didn't have anybody disciplined. Van Gaal is another example. Paid millions at Manchester United, didn't have a bloody clue. Absolutely clueless. The fans knew more than him. So don't ever disrespect your opinion. It matters more than you think. Richard Stainer says Carrick and Scholes should have been England's centre midfield. Yeah, it should have done. I'm sort of glad that it wasn't, because I think United benefited from them not being overworked by England, to be honest. But you're right, they should have been. I mean, Carrick's caps for his ability is a disgrace. I mean, say what you want about people like Pep Guardiola and Xavi at Barcelona, but Carrick was the one player that they always used to rave about. Dr. Manny says England need to find a new Rooney. I think that's England's only big hope this season going into the World Cup, is if somebody emerges from somewhere as a top talent, because this, you know, who have England got to come back into this team? Dele Alli, who is a very good player, but Kevin Collins, Mark, do you think England will get into the last 16? I've got to be honest with you, I'm not. No, I don't. England's problem is, when they play a decent team, like your Brazils, they'll get beat. When they play even a Belgium or a Denmark, they'll probably get beat. And then when they play a Slovenia or an Iceland or someone like that who raise their game against England, they'll probably get beat. I think we'll struggle to get out of the group. I really do. I do like Dele Alli, Mike. I agree with you. I do like Dele Alli. Ben 17, Lallana. Well, Lallana's got to sort his injury problems out. I mean, Lallana's a decent player, isn't he? But he's got to sort his injury problems out. Rogvi says that Angel Gomez is the future star of English football. Probably not for another 3 or 4 years, mate. And he's got to commit to England, first of all, because he can play for other countries. But he has been playing for England through his youth setup, and I think he currently is playing for England in the under-17s, is it? But England, I've said this 2 or 3 times tonight, from under-19s down, England have got some fantastic players. They've just got to make sure that they get themselves into clubs where they're playing week in, week out. And then English football probably looks quite good, because we've got talent coming through. Lingard, you've got to go the other way. Passes it back. It's been too easy for Slovenia tonight, though. Oh, Rashford. Can he get a shot away? Try and do too much. Sterling, that's bloody atrocious. He's a rubbish player, isn't he, for England, Sterling. I don't know how he does it at City because he's atrocious. Every time I watch him play for England, he's rubbish. I remember him in the last tournament as well. Rubbish. Andrew Kay says Gomez captains the under-16s and the under-17s and thinks he will commit to England. I would expect to. I hope he commits to United. He could go for free in the summer. England sucks, says Ax Danny Canayer. All I'm going to say about tonight is I really wanted us to get up to 18,000 subscribers. I don't think we're going to quite manage it, but if you are new, please do click that subscribe button, the hologram at the bottom right hand corner, and get involved with That's Football. Because what I have enjoyed tonight is the couple of hours we've just been having general chat about football, and the game has been a real boring backdrop. But the fact that there's a few hundred of us been able to have a little chat about football, I have really enjoyed. So more than happy to do more of this on That's Football. And I do quite like the change because it's when you're doing the club channel, it's very much about the club, but this is a bit more relaxed, neutral and general, and I do like it. So make sure you subscribe, like I say, spread the word about That's Football and get involved. We debuted the Skype show last night, which I promised you we would do, where you can call in and talk about whatever you want, and I think that works really well. We're going to do plenty of watch-alongs during the season. We'll pick our games. We're always going to try and pick the good games. Apologies about tonight. But the next one will be England versus... No, it won't be England, I'm joking. It'll be Wales versus Ireland on Monday night, which I'm really looking forward to. For the neutral, it's great, but if you're Welsh or Irish, it's going to be a real cracker, that one. I think Ireland need to beat Moldova tomorrow night, though. Lingard was nearly in there. Blishard Crushing says, Mark, are you happy in your life? Yes, I am. Why do you ask? That's an odd question to ask. Do I betray something in my eyes? Matthew McFadden, how's your day been, Mark? Busy. Professionally, I'll be honest with you, I've not had a great couple of days. I've been really... There's a few things been going off that have been difficult, but personally, I'm very happy. Bit deep, that, wasn't it? 9 minutes and no goals, says Andrew Horn. Joe Hart. I can't stand Joe Hart. He's crap. Football fan 02 says Lingard shouldn't even be in the England squad. I think he should. He shouldn't. Hypothetically, he shouldn't be anywhere near an England squad. But based on the quality and depth that England have to choose from, then Lingard should be in it. Ben 17, Wembley Cup watch-along. I don't think we need to. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that to Spencer. It's not fair. I'm sure plenty of people will be just watching the stream of that themselves without a watch-along from us. England are absolute garbage, in my opinion, says Yo Ru. How's Sebastian doing? Oh, he's fantastic. A beacon, he is. I mean, I'm very lucky. I've got two fantastic girls, but just had a boy in the summer, and my daughter, my youngest daughter, is fantastic at football. I watch her every Saturday morning, but it's going to be fun with a lad. Which, taking it away from that, was having a conversation today with somebody at work who's got a lad who's about 10, very good. And what they do with football now is it's horrible. They'll get let's say I don't know, let's pluck a club. So let's say Stoke City, they will get 40 or 50 young lads at every age group from the age of about 10, 11, 12, and they'll have 50 lads at 10, 11, 12 on their books. And of course, then they're never going to take 50 every single year. So when they get to signing, properly for the club, they'll get rid of loads of them. But through the ages of 10, 11, 12, 13, you're training, you're part of that club, you lose your youth, and then the vast majority of them get swept aside. And I was saying, if my lad wants to play football and he ends up being good at football, it might not be the right thing to do, but for me it is, and I think it is for him. He won't be signing for any professional club till he's at least 14. He can play for the region, he can play for the county, he can play for his school, he can play for a Saturday club, but he's not going to be signing for any club. Oh, here we go. Oh, Joe Hart came out. and made a double save. That'll be him playing in the World Cup. But yeah, it wasn't good goalkeeping at all. Again, another indication of what football's like. It's just they just get everybody, and then players, I don't think you develop properly like that. I'm a big advocate of playing football, training. I used to play football, and I was quite good at it, and I'm sure some of you were as well. Training's training. I went mad last year because Fosu Mensah was at Manchester United. He's a really good young player, and he played 20 minutes in the Premier League all season up until the last game of the season when he was given a run out. And some people were like, oh, he's part of the first team, he's training with the first team. And I was like, no, it'd be far better for his development if he'd gone on loan to somebody like Bournemouth and played 30 games in a season. That will develop him far better, because playing football in a competitive environment is 10 times better than training. Phil Mitchell, when is Dunkirk out? Because I want to see it, but it's not come out yet. I never saw it in the cinema. Star Wars is coming up as well. Whoa, can't wait. I love this time of year though. Autumn through to Christmas, and then January. Oh. George Kyle says Sterling's just come off, so the team will be way better. I didn't see who came on for him, George. Sturridge, is it? I presume Danny Welbeck's injured because he'd be in the squad. So, do England qualify if they draw? Is the question on everybody's lips. Well, probably isn't, but... So, England will qualify with a draw because Slovakia aren't winning. And if we draw, we'll be 5 points clear of second place with 1 game to go. So England will qualify with a draw. It's official. We're going to the World Cup with the boring draw. Dr. Manny says England deserve a goal. I think Slovenia have had the best chances, to be honest, Dr. Manny. I don't know what anybody else thinks. Oxar Bizzle says they need 2 points, I think. I thought there was any... Is there more games to play then? Let's have a look. Driving in my car. Oh, I know. No. England have qualified. Because there's no more games to play and they're 5 points clear. Yeah, we've qualified, haven't we? As Southend's Finest says, last game on Sunday, so we're 5 points clear at the moment. Unless Slovenia beat us, which they could. Edward Shaw, England qualify with a draw, bud. Yeah. Lockrill's probably made the comment of the night. Is there another nation that hates to watch its team play more than England? I'm going to tweet that off. What have I got access to? I'm going to do it off mine. So if you follow me on Twitter at Mark Goldbridge, I've just nicked your line. I've not even credited you as well. Sorry, pal. At least I'm honest. I'll tell you what, I'm desperate for the toilet as well. Not a number 1 either. And you've got to enjoy number 2 on the throne, so I'll wait. We've got a streaker. That's the best bit of the night. Oh no, I think I've done it inadvertently. I've done it off the United Stand account, so even better. What a load of rubbish. A load of rubbish. I should have bought the bottle of rum. So yeah, I'd have finished that bottle of rum, Shane. And I've got to go to work tomorrow. I've got the terrible thing about work tomorrow is I was meant to be meeting a mate for work for lunch, and in my job you can have a drink at lunchtime, and we do it like once a month on a Friday. So we were going to meet each other, and then he was like, "Oh, I've got a meeting at 1:30. Can we meet at 12?" I was like, "Yeah, I've got nothing on a Friday." Check my calendar. I've actually got 2 meetings, one at 12:30 till 1:30, and then one at 2:00. I mean, who has meetings at those times on a Friday? Iris XHD says, Mark, I promise you'll be an upcoming Manchester United title at That's Football Fan TV. Just watch, Mark. I don't know what that means, mate. I can't decipher what you're trying to say. Do I like Mbappe after he moved to PSG, says Blizzard Crushing. He won't lose any sleep about this statement, but no. I hope he flops. I think to go from the champions of France, which were Monaco, to PSG, and it's a pub league in France, so to go from the champions of France to PSG for money at 18 years of age sticks a big stamp on your forehead that I'm a money grabber and I'm what's wrong with football. So no, I don't. I think Mbappe is a good player, but I don't understand that at all. Adrian Kemp says inept is too good for England. Oh, it is. Will you be drunk on the United stand tomorrow night at 8 o'clock? There's always a chance. It's the one time of the week I normally get to go out and have a couple of beers, so I might. There's a good chance. White Tony says, after the golden generation got so hyped for 2006 and flopped, I lost interest. Yeah, I think the worst World Cup for me was South Africa with Capello. It was absolutely atrocious. Harry Kane's just had a shot where wrong-footed Oblak, but he still had time to get up and get it. There's 6 minutes of stoppage time in this game. Matthew McFadden says, "Oh, flower of Scotland." Scotland have scored. Massive, massive goal for Scotland. Really pleased that they've scored, actually, in relation to qualification for the World Cup. I know the Scottish hate the English. I know the Welsh do. I know the Irish do. I lived there for 3 years. They want England to fail. But as an Englishman, I want Scotland to be at the World Cup. I want Ireland to be there. Wales, Northern Ireland. I want you all to be there. So it just makes it more interesting. You've probably got more chance than us as well. So I hope Scotland make it. I presume finish second in the group will only get you into qualifying. And you could get somebody decent, but be nice to see you there. From a Scottish point of view, I mean, Burke at West Brom, I know he's at Leipzig via Forest. I think he's a good player. Blizzard Crushing, do you visit other countries? Yeah, Benidorm, no. I do. I tell you what, we're having a United stand get together next summer in Ireland, in Dublin, if we win the Premier League, because we're not sponsored by Guinness, but Ross drinks a pint of Guinness every Man United game, and we've been doing very well this season. So we said if we win the league, I'm going to take him to the Guinness factory in Ireland next summer, and I'm also going to do a United stand get together in my favourite pub in Dublin, which will be good. So yeah, join us there. Chris Salazar says Rooney retired so he didn't have to be part of this rubbish. Dr. Manny's switched the telly off and he's just watching the That's Football now. I don't blame you. I'm just reading the live comments. There is a match going on next to me, but I'm reading that. Paul Bradley, I'm Irish and I think I like England more than most English fans. To be honest, when I lived over in Malahide, a couple of my mates over there, they didn't hate England. They were... I remember the '94 World Cup in America, and England didn't bloody qualify because we had Graham Taylor in charge and he was rubbish. Rest in peace. But We scored at the end. England have scored. It was a good goal. Kyle Walker had already had a shot before that, but really, really good run by Kyle Walker down the right. Puts the cross in. Remember what I said? Quality cross, and Harry Kane's there. Oblak does his very best, but he scored. And Southgate, look at him turn away like he's bloody Mourinho. He's a joke, but well done. Well done to England. And what does that do for the group? Well, we're qualified anyway, but I think we've probably just done Scotland a massive, massive favour, in all honesty. Scotland would go up to 17 points, 3 ahead of Slovenia, 2 ahead of Slovakia. And let's have a look. We're talking Scotland at the moment. And then Scotland away to Slovenia on... I tell you what, I think Scotland probably aren't going to get second place. I didn't realise that. Scotland will be away to Slovenia, whereas Slovakia will be home to Malta, who've got 0 points. So Slovakia are going to win their last game. They've got better goal difference. Scotland will have to beat Slovenia, which is, to be honest, looking at Slovenia on this performance, I think they might be too tough. But at least we've done you a little bit of a favour, give you a little bit of a chance. But it's a good goal from England, to be fair. Good cross from Kyle Walker, and Kane. Give Kane quality ball and Kane will score. Dan Butterworth doesn't feel like a deserved win. Well, you know, this is England, isn't it? I did say England would win this game. Maybe we should do a watch along Scotland v Slovenia. Active Dan says Kyle Walker's the best right back in England and the Premier League. I'd have to disagree with you. It was a fantastic cross, and I do like Kyle Walker, but defensively he's very suspect. I mean, even in this game, he's given it away so many times. But going forward, he's very, very good. I've not even bothered changing the score, have I? Not going to bother. Thanks everyone for watching anyway, because we will be finishing in a minute. We very nearly got 17,900 subscribers. Thanks to everyone if you are new. If you're not new, a bigger thanks, because, well, no, nobody should get a bigger thanks, but you know what I mean. Get involved with the channel. I think it's growing really well, and all we're trying to do is build a community for general football chat. We do lots of watch-alongs, lots of... we started the call-in shows, which started last night, which I listened to, was really, really good with Xander. Blizzard Crushing says, best England manager in the world is Southgate. Oh, it's 1-1 with Scotland. Oh dear, Happy Ricks. That probably ends it for Scotland and gets it for... No, it's not. You cheeky beggar. It's already full time. It was a Skirtle own goal as well for Scotland. So it sets it up nicely. Sets it up very nicely. Boring game, Mike Rollins. Southgate out. Goldbridge in, says Kieran Byrne. I'll take the job. No, there'll be no match reaction. I'm done for tonight. Football Fan 02. I'm not doing anything on the United Stand either. It's I'll do a walk to work tomorrow because I haven't done one for a long time on the United Stand, and then tomorrow night we'll be live at 8 o'clock on that. And tonight, the next show I'll do on That's Football will be 11 o'clock. It will literally go live at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. It's FIFA 18 career mode. Which, if you don't like FIFA 18, don't worry. There's interaction and chat as well. But I can't schedule it because it's through my PS4, so it just goes live. So if you want to watch that at 11 o'clock tomorrow night, you either need to be hanging around on the channel at 11 o'clock or subscribe and turn your notification bell on to get all notifications. But we'll be live at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. England have qualified for the World Cup. Well done to England. you've got to say well done. But I tell you what, if we get out the group, I'll be very, very surprised. Very surprised indeed. But thanks everyone, you've been fantastic tonight. That was a very difficult game to watch. We've done an England watch-along. I think I deserve a medal to get through that. Thanks for the people who said, please do an England watch-along. You're notable by your absence. But no, in all seriousness, the chat's been really good. So thanks everybody, and I'll speak to you all really soon. Thanks for watching.